Now, J. David, the budget does also include a pay raise for federal employees and new employee engagement initiatives, but is that the right kind of incentives to bring in new employees to the federal workforce?
Well, I would say that a 1.6% raise is only a very, very small amount of what federal employees should be receiving. AFGE has been very, very clear, and we are calling for a 5.3 catch-up of federal employees and their pay. With over the last 6 years, federal employees have only increased 3.3%. If you use the FEPCA formula, it would take 5.3 just for the catch-up, just to make them even. So I think that we would see a lot happier workforce. We would be able to recruit and retain the best and the brightest if we were giving the 5.3% pay raise. And I'm very excited that Jerry Conley, Leader Pelosi, and many others, and Ben Cardin are talking very positively about making that 5.3 and introducing legislation to raise federal employee pay.
Did we see anything in the budget that's really going to push workforce engagement and bringing people in from the private sector?
Well, I think we've been in the gutter for a long time. Federal employee engagement is as low as it's ever been, and that's as a result of sort of the climate that has been pretty abusive of federal employees. The system really is not designed to help you distinguish between high-performing and low-performing employees. What I was pleased to see was that the budget reiterated the President's proposal to create a commission to reform the federal civil service system. It's time for a broad, comprehensive look at the system and how well we're doing, how well it's designed to recruit and retain the people we need.
That's a real challenge because the skill levels are very different. New technology, the skills are evolving rapidly, and so yes, there's a critical need to bring on board a lot more skilled employees in the federal marketplace, and I don't think the government is well positioned yet to meet the demand. Thousands of people for cybersecurity positions, thousands in the medical area, thousands in innovation. We're just not yet positioned well enough to do that. It may or may not be a salary by itself. Certainly a contributor to it. Other things about the federal marketplace, how long it takes to onboard somebody, the security clearance process, lots of different issues all impact the ability to attract and retain talent. And the federal government, along with contractors, are competing in the global marketplace for that scarce resource.
And one thing the federal budget does lay out is you're building off of a civil service system that was developed 60 years ago, and it's really not built for the type of talent that government needs now. You know, back 60 years ago, you had a largely administrative workforce with a large percent of knowledge workers, different type of transformational professions, people who are able to work across sectors. It's really not set up right now to bring in the type of talent that we need.
And one thing I would have to say, when we talk about civil service reform, all we have seen frequently as civil service reform is shift money from lower grade employees to higher grade employees and do those type things. If we're going to have civil service reform, we need more money to run the government. I think the GS system has worked and served the government very well. It doesn't discriminate because of race, creed, color, sexual orientation or sex. Men and women are paid the same and those type things. It continues to serve this country well. The problem has been the appropriators that we're here in this fine building have not appropriated enough money. When you have 3 years of a pay freeze, and then 3 years that you give 1%, 1%, and 1.3%, those type things have a dynamic effect upon the recruitment and retention of federal employees. I think if you would improve family leave policies, and while this budget's calling for things, basically guaranteeing the advancement of leave for birth or adoption of a child, but a few years ago we was talking about granting leave and giving additional leave. That's what the private sector is doing. That's the things we need to be doing. We need to be innovative and catching up, and federal employees are 35% behind the private sector in pay.